guess our animals. They were the ones in the middle are like rescue rangers.
We can't really hear you.
The ones that are sort of like non-human. We're all about animals. Short tails. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah, so
I thought you were just talking amongst yourselves.
I know.
What are people doing here?
So yeah, all those cartoons growing up, and then obviously newspaper strips. All the newspaper strips that I liked as a kid were always about Hobbs, Garfield, Heath, Marmaduke. If it had an animal, I was interested in.
Yeah, I think there's so much. When you're a kid, I think the majority of your content is animal-based. From Sesame Street and Big Bird and Barkley and Garfield and the Disney and the Looney Tunes. I think the earliest thing for me probably would have been like Big Bird, and I had a bunch of Big Bird storybooks and stuff, and then Secret of NIMH, American Tail, everything is animals when you're a kid.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. There's so much of what you consume is animal-based. I was going to bring up Secret of NIMH because it scared the crap out of me as a kid. And yeah, totally. And I mean, they would put it on all the time, like if I was at a babysitter's or whatever it was, and I loved watching it, but I was always so terrified the entire time. And like when she gets hurt, anyway, I'm still recovering from this. But I think it was captivating. Like there is so much stuff that's Looney Tunes and Garfield and Alvin and the Chipmunks and stuff that I loved as a kid that was fun and funny. And I think, I guess even Bambi, but definitely Secret of NIMH, I realized, oh, these can be like dark and there can be larger stories here, even if I didn't completely understand it at the time. But yeah, Secret of NIMH definitely triggered me.
And Sebastian, you bring up a good point with regards to the animal comics and what has led you to that. I mean, why animals over perhaps people in your comics? Now, Michael, you're a little bit of an exception, I know. Well, and also you, Norm, because you do have humans in there as well. So what was the choice to use animals rather than people to tell your stories, and what kind of research did you do for that? And Michael, can we start with you with regards to Herobear and the kid?
I think with Herobear, this is Herobear. This is Herobear. I think with Herobear, it may be a bit more of an anomaly of that, is that it is more of a relationship. It's a partnership of sorts of best friends. And so by making it a 10-foot tall polar bear, it makes it seem a little bit more magical. It brings to life that relationship a little bit more. And that idea of, in this I asked that question, what if your best friend was a superhero? This makes it a little bit more magical than if it was humans, that would be like. And oftentimes too, as kids, we have those friendships with toys or playthings that are part of our imagination, and that usually is a different bond, and so that's more of the imagination. I'm useless at this. I'm way talking to questions. Anyway, that's kind of where I would go with
I didn't really have a choice. I just got hired to draw the ones that had the animals in it, and then I'm just sort of like, before that, I would mostly draw people and people type stuff, and then I got hired to draw the ponies, and I've been doing that for so long that now when I have ideas for new things, a lot of time they're just like, my head's in an animal place already, so I'll just have animal ideas, not necessarily like ponies and not like Omaha the cat dancer style furries type things, but like sort of like just stuff where, because I hadn't been thinking about it in an animal way before, now when I think of things, I'm like, well, what if they were, dogs, or what if they were rhinoceroses?
I think it makes them more relatable to people in many ways. You can see personalities, and we think about that with Warner Brothers cartoons, we think about it with Walt Kelly's Pogo, we think about that there are archetypes, that we relate to in their relationships and their personalities. Between Daffy and Bugs, there's definite personalities that we recognize in humans but they come across very nicely in the animal form. You have a very controlled bugs, a very greedy duck, and yet you see them more as their personalities, and so that's why your brain thinks like that.
Yeah, you bring it,
see it.
you bring it with when you come to the cartoon already. Like you already assume how you feel about a rabbit, how you feel about a duck. You're inclined to like the rabbit.
Yeah.
I'm in a similar position to Tony. I went, like, I had source material that was about animals, and so I had to write about animals. I did make the change. Kipling's original short story is kind of half and half, humans and animals. The humans are having conversations about the animals are having conversations about the humans, but they don't talk to each other. And we made the decision to keep the humans as characters, but the point of view is entirely animals, so we don't hear the humans speak. They're just around, and we dove in hard on the animals because of how much you can do in terms of what the animals can represent, ideas and archetypes, and it's very easy to right away, like, the mammals are the heroes and the reptiles are evil, and you can play with big ideas that people can relate to very easily by using that sort of shorthand, basically.
Well, and you bring up a good point, is in these types of stories, I know from different films I've worked on and stuff that we have to make these decisions. The animals can talk, but can humans hear them? So you have either a Bugs Bunny world where they can talk with humans, or you have a Ratatouille world where animals can talk to each other, but the humans can't understand them. Or humans and animals are living in the same world, but animals can communicate like Homeward Bound or something like that, where it's a regular animal like that. And so you have to make those sorts of decisions too when you're dealing with those sorts of animals.
Then there's the ones where the animals can talk, the humans just don't know about it.
Yes.
Right.
And then at some point they're gonna have to talk to the humans, like a rescuers.
Exactly. They actually have to then class that land. Please tell me they scored.
It's interesting though. The divide is always like humans and then all the animals. Like, there's never a story where dogs are like, "Whoa, that squirrel can talk!" Like,
well, I bet there was a little bit of that in Elf. Was that in Elf, when he's up in the North Pole, he's talking to like Mr. Puffin and all this, and Mr. Norwal and all this stuff, and then he gets to New York and there's this crazed raccoon that is like this, and so you do get that weird kind of, wait, what are the rules? What can we do here?
For Penguins versus Possums, I was just more of a historian. So, as it was based on real events, as I documented these things through the United States in my many travels, this is what came out.
how often were you in Antarctica?
I tried to make a regular trip of it. It is as cold as they say. And it's expensive. Not a lot of airlines fly to Antarctica. You have to. Good question. But in terms of like choosing animals, this was the first animal-based thing that I had ever done. I usually would do more human-based stuff. I just thought it was ridiculous and went with that. And the idea that penguins and possums, of all the animals, because people will always be like, oh, why didn't you choose sharks and penguins, or why didn't you choose things that make sense? And all that, because those make sense. Like, these don't. And also, penguins versus possums. It's got the alliteration, we've got the syllables. It works. But no, and also, you guys kind of mentioned it, but you do come to these things with preconceived ideas, and that was part of what we played with was, again, usually people are like, oh, happy feet, penguins. Oh, possums look like they're from the demon realm. Like, why would I care for a possum? Like, they're disgusting looking. And that was something that was fun to play with, and that was thematically something that we got into in terms of like what is on the surface is not necessarily what's beneath, and there's more things going on. And I mean, even in the story, the idea is there's stuff going on beneath the surface, and so even with these characters, there's stuff going on beneath the surface, and maybe some of it is publicity, and some of it is them playing with human emotions, etc. I do think that when you have animals and we anthropomorphize animals, it is far easier to, it's a little safer, I think, for us to deal with what they're dealing with and to project things onto them, where if it's humans, we all have very complicated feelings about other humans, and with animals, it is pretty much, they're cute. So I think that's also very helpful, particularly when telling a larger scale story or using types and archetypes, as you said. I think it's easier to just accept that something's simplified and then build on that.
Also can feel a little more emotion too. You know, you've seen a movie where a bunch of bad guys get mowed down, but if a dog goes running through the scene, you're like, the only thing happened to the dog. You know, and you're like, you know, all the soldiers can get wiped out, you know, as long as they're bad.
Right.
But the dog better survive that moment.
There's a website devoted to that where you can look up to see who the animals die in the film.
So, Sebastian, did you look at my notes?
No.
Because you're like getting ahead of me. No, but so I like the fact that you talk about the animals and the various themes that you can basically unpackage through the animal comics. So I'd like to understand a little bit better, like choices made with regards to the animals. And I think Sebastian, you kind of answered, you know, why penguins and possums. Norm and Tony, you kind of were, based on your source material, you were already had your animals chosen. So Mike, I'd like to kind of direct this to you. Why the polar bear?
Well, it's funny, I have sketches initially that he was actually a teddy bear, so he was a big grizzly bear, just because it felt natural and because of the initial storyline. But I have two drawings that are about 3 weeks apart from when I was originally coming up with it. And I had found some photos I had taken at the LA Zoo. And the only things from like when I was about 9 or 10 that had survived, and they were only of the polar bears. So it had always been sort of part of me. And the mythology in the book also works better as a polar bear. There's a North Pole, Arctic kind of mythology that's in it. And so the polar bear aspect fit perfectly, and I kind of fit it in. So it just seemed natural. It was more iconic also because I keep the book in black and white. So there's only red is his cape that you see. So it's more like that. So it actually works better with the coloring that I want to go for. And it just seemed more different than just a standard bear, more iconic for me.
So that's interesting too that you brought up about the mythology with regards to the animal. For all of you, did you think about kind of animal behavior with regards to your characters? How did you bring that in? How do you balance that with kind of the anthropomorphic aspect to animals and animals in comics? Can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, I mean, when I draw ponies, I'm always thinking about like how a horse, like how they walk, how they sit, how they lay down, how they run. But then also there's stuff that you have to change because it's a cartoon and because they're also, you know, like adorable, sweet little ponies. So like they don't fart like horses fart. They don't eat an apple. Horses eat an apple. Like they don't spare their teeth. Yeah. And then also like there's problems that come in the storytelling because the writer will send me a script that will often say like, you know, Applejack picks up a rock and it's like it's just has hooves. So how do I do this? And so there's like a cheat way you can do it where she just sort of like uses her hand almost like a finger where she just grabs stuff like a hoof. But I try to find more interesting ways to do it when I can, just so that I'm not always doing, you know, like, because sometimes the writers will just not think about it. She's sweeping up, and she's standing up on 2 legs with a broom. So I try and figure out ways that they can do stuff like that without having to totally break the world.
That it relates to the problem that I ran into with penguins who just have flippers. We did do a lot of looking at actual penguins and possums, and I grew up with possums in my backyard, which were terrifying. One of my partners on Penguins versus Possums, he's from the South, and so he had a lot of possums around as well. And we looked up a lot of things. We use a lot of gags, like them playing possum, or them hanging upside down, hissing, sort of all the things that are actual possum behavior. And same thing with the penguins. We do a lot of stuff where they're diving into the water, or where they're doing specific waddling things, like stuff that definitely was like, oh, that's what a penguin does. But there's also stuff where they're throwing ninja stars and shooting guns and having spears and pointing to things, and so that's definitely somewhere we, it's just a conceit, like we just cheated, and they actually just are able to use their flippers. Flippers bend in ways that they don't really bend to get the job done. And that's part of the fun of it. Like, why do I have to explain how they like shoot a gun, like, you know, or how they throw a ninja star, or how they use their computer? Like, it's kind of fun to, I think your brain fills in the gaps and you get that, like, it's a pretty silly thing. There's not really, spoiler, there's not really an Armageddon coming. Though who knows, right? I see you shaking your head, who knows? But yeah, I think it's something that's part of the fun of it. At least for drawing it, that's those sort of challenges, like you said, like finding new ways of doing the, grabbing the apple or doing whatever, is seeing them hold a sword and their flipper wrapped around it, or yeah, I don't know, doing something that's super mundane in life that clearly they could never do, or buying some. We do the actual gag where there's like multiple penguins in a trench coat and they go and, you know, get the job done that way as well. There's all sorts of things that that's part of the fun of it, is, you know, that wouldn't actually work if it were. And I mean, the bodies of it, sometimes the possums look like actual possums, and sometimes they look like humans with possum heads on them, depending upon what's cooler in that moment. Or if they're in the world, like if they're actually around other humans, they look much more like possums. And that's something that you may not notice when you're reading it, but it was something that was very intentional of, we see them one way, but when we're not looking, they're doing something else. I mean, it's the Toy Story idea of there's a whole other world going on when we're not paying attention.
Yeah, we play with similar rules in Ricky. When we meet the Mongoose clan at the beginning, before Ricky's been washed away, they all walk around on 2 legs, and they have a construction site in their burrow, and there's a bar that they hang out at. But then once Ricky's been saved by the humans, he runs around on 4 legs. It's not like that he's actively trying to fool the humans, it's just the context that we're seeing him in is changed a little. And we did a lot of stuff like that to remind you that they're wild animals while still allowing you to create a connection with them. And we, whenever nature, like facts, got in the way of the story, we just said, never mind. Like, if Mongoose social behavior didn't work for what I wanted to do, then, you know what, we'll change it, it'll be fun. But then there was a lot of deciding on the rules of the universe they lived in. So Nag and Nagina, the 2 cobras, in our version, they've got a henchman that's a spider, and he weaves webs all over the house and the garden, and the flies that get caught are kind of like security cameras. They just watch all day long, and then the spider will go like, all right, so what happened? And then he takes the information back to the snakes so that it can have a sense of, like, that's how Naga and Nagina know what's going on in the house without actively having to be in the house, and things like that we tried to make sure we could tell the story we wanted to tell, but everything made sense with how you think the animals with that and tracks.
Nice.
So do you think that there are certain animals that you feel are more conducive to animal comics? Or do you think that there are ones that are more challenging?
No, I think the great thing about animals and the great thing about cartooning is that it's just all about how the artist is gonna like anthropomorphize them or give them character, and that's what's so much fun about having a world like where, like drawing an animal book, you live in a world where like if you just want to have, you know, like a a spider start talking or a fish start talking, you know, then you have an opportunity where you can just create that joy, you know, like design that specific fish, and then, you know, whatever that character needs to be. Then animals are great because they have so many different. They all walk differently. They all. Some of them have bigger front halves than back halves, or vice versa. So it's great for just the shapes of creating cartoons. It's already sort of built in with animals.
Well, and yeah, that's how you can interpret them and feel differently. Is that you can have animals that are in like you can have Snoopy be a dog in one way, but you can look at dogs in other films and Bolt or Oliver and Company and things like that, that they acted more like real dogs and moved in that way, where Snoopy is a dog, but we see him acting very human. And you can also, I think you can go with any animal. I mean, you look at Winnie the Pooh and you have a rabbit, a kangaroo, a donkey, you know, a little bear, a little piglet, a little pig. You've got a variety of animals that you normally wouldn't think would be all together.
Yeah, the tiger.
Their personalities. That's what we're looking for is, you know, find, you know, we sometimes will do that with friends, like which one are you, or what do you like, if you design something like animal, what would they be like, and that's because we know personality, it's still driven by that character.
I think also like that has something to do with like being a kid and how exciting it is, like going to the zoo. Like they don't have zoos that are just like, you don't just go to like the monkey zoo. You know, like the zoo's got everything. You're excited to go see the animals. You're like, I mean, I get excited about mostly just seeing the monkeys. But when I get there, I'm like, let's check out some bears too. Let's go see what's going on over here with these goats. So I feel like the joy of having like working in a cartoon world, in the animal world, that you can just sort of bring in, you know, like if I get bored of just having all pony characters, the thing I'm working on right now has like a bird character. It's just like, oh, I could do a completely different, you know, shape and.
Well, look at Zootopia.
Yeah,
Zootopia is this massive world. It's our world, I mean, but how you find you know, the slots and you know, running the counter at the beginning. It so captures stuff like that we know then it's gags, it's things, and how to respond, how to say it. I was thinking with your penguin, have you ever seen Richard Long Trousers?
Long trousers?
No.
Oh, the Wallace and Gromit short.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have the DVD with me of the Incredible Adventures. Yeah. Okay, I'll prove it. Yeah, because in reality, I usually, and this is the, I'm not lying to you because. See ya. All right. Yeah. Hold on, just give me a sec. Sorry if I have to stop the camera. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll definitely check it out.
And this is an interesting collection because my name's Jonathan, by the way. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So I apparently brought this today. I can show you what this is. It's a claymation shorts by a guy named Nick Park, and basically he did the first three shorts, which was A Grand Day Out, which was originally a student short that he did. Second one was The Wrong Trousers, which won him an Academy Award. Yeah. He did win his first award with Creature Comforts, which he was also working at Aardman Studios. And the third one is A Close Shave. Just a bit of a heads up. The reason why I got this DVD is because I had the original since I was scared of these shorts back in my day. What?
Supposed to be scared about them.
Well, at the time, I watched like, there was a Pee-wee, no, not Pee-wee, but it was like a Michael Jackson Speed Demon music video that kind of scared me as a kid because I thought claymation was scary. But after watching this, I kind of grew to like this thing.
Yeah, the great thing about the Aardman shorts is there is a charm that comes across them, but in this one especially, there's a maniacal penguin. Okay.
Yeah.
But the way that he acts him it is all in about the shots and all in about the looks. But the penguin really never changes expression ever. And
yeah.
But the things is you know right away he's a villain. You know by how he acts it's offensive. It's very fun. John, thank you for bringing it.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. And the funny thing about the penguin's name is, and they had a video game called Project Zoo, and at one point Wallace just all of a sudden, and it was also at the end of the story, his name is actually Feathers McGraw.
Oh really?
Yeah, because Feathers McGraw.
I think there's actually some wanted posters in the short. That
That's cool.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate that.
Appreciate it. That's awesome.
Thanks.
So let's turn the light.
Thank you guys.
So turning inward a little bit with regards specifically
You didn't mind if I did that,
projects, that we were introduced to at the beginning of the
Thank you.
hour.
I always
What is
carry
important
these
for
because
readers to take away from
I carry
your
my
stories?
toys around because they give me comfort when I'm homesick.
Whoever would like
And
to start.
Wallace and Gromit is
Okay,
one of my favorite films.
So with Ricky,
I also wanted to mention as
something
well,
that really resonated with me
I put all three of the
was
shorts because
the
later
division
versions,
between the world that Ricky
the
was coming
audio
from,
is
the
all-
longer society,
it's
and life in the garden, where he's taken in. I'm originally from Texas, and now I live in Los Angeles, and they're culturally very different. And
Thank you.
I went through a period, the first couple of years I was out here, having to like adjust, who I thought I was, who I thought I wanted to be, and then finding a middle ground between those two things. And that's a lot of what Ricky's about is when you go through a change like that in the culture that surrounds you, whether it's Texas to LA or just going off to college or anything like that, and then and figuring out who you are when faced with that kind of thing. That's really what the story's about. My version of the story's about, I should say. And I think it's a fairly universal experience as people grow and things. So I hope that's what they take away from it.
I mean, I work on a property that's just mostly about friendship. Like the whole point of My Little Pony is about learning how to be friends and sort of dealing with issues that come out of having friends and making friends and stuff like that. So all the stories that we do at their core, when they're the good ones, are somehow about friendship. So I think it's pretty important. I always feel good when we do a really good one. I'm like, oh yeah, this is just a lot about friendship, and I feel like kids are going to get something out of this, or grown-ups are going to get something out of this. So we try to do that. A lot of times too, though, we'll just get real plotty and do less friendship-based, more moving the story forward-based issues. But when they're great, they're about friendship.
I will kind of echo that a little bit. A lot of what Herobear is about friendship between two characters and a lot about childhood. It's a lot about kind of looking back on childhood and the things we did and maybe the nostalgia of that and adventures we would have had, and kind of revisiting those through the eyes of two friends, and kind of reminding us our slogan we have on the back of our publishing is always remember your childhood and pass it on. And so that's kind of what leads a lot of what our stories are, and definitely Herobear.
For Penguins versus Possums, I mean, I think first and foremost, entertained, and I would hope that you would be invested throughout the entire journey. Would you find it interesting yourself if you originally chose Penguins? Does your alliance change over time depending on what these characters do? So there are a lot of twists and turns, and there's the comic book itself is all grayscale, and there are shades of gray in every character in the book. There's no, for the majority of the story, there's no specific good or bad side. They're both after what they want and trying to protect themselves and their own species. As it goes along, that changes a little bit, but the idea was that you wouldn't go into it going, oh, these are the bad guys, these are the good guys, or if you do, that gets challenged along the way. And I think that is something that I would certainly be interested in hearing people's experiences, and I hope that is the experience of you connecting with one at one point and then questioning that, connecting with another, possibly going back and forth. There are two main human characters in this book, and sort of opposite of what's been said, they start as friends and then choose different sides. And so you kind of see them hopefully you would be affected by that because you're invested in them as friends, and then unfortunately they make choices that take them in opposite directions or contrary to each other, in conflict with each other. And just sort of that, I think, is a very big part of life as well. Friendships when you're a kid are far more simple than when you are an adult. But yeah, I guess that's it.
Wonderful.
If you were to do an animal comic and you put yourself into it, what animal would you choose and why?
Are we the animal?
Yeah.
Pony.
Would your pony still wear your cap?
Huh?
Would the
I
pony
mean,
version if
there
you wear
is
that
a
cap?
pony version of me that's,
Oh,
in the,
no.
that's in the comics, and he does wear my cap. His name is Pony Fleecs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Is that a recurring character?
I mean, he just pops up in the background. He doesn't usually get into too much trouble.
Oh, I get it. Like a cameo.
You should do like a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive.
Oh, man, that'd be so great. I don't know. I think the run of people who would care about that are in this room. So I think
Well, that'll be a short line.
maybe they're not going to jump right into that.
And we're
I'm-
guaranteed.
I find I'm taking this question like way more seriously than I should. I'm like, oh god, this is tougher. What am I? I have to commit to whatever it is I say right now. Yeah. I would probably go either like bear or tiger. Pretty hairy. Yeah, probably like a golden retriever.
Oh, that's great.
That's the right answer.
Mike, do you have one?
I
Bear?
It's blatant that I put myself in this book. That pretty much Herobear is my kids, and so I kind of get out of it a little bit easier. I've kind of already put myself in the book as a Herobear, so it's where I put myself. They have golden retrievers, bro. You know what that is.
Nice. Wearing the glasses too.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
You didn't have like a salt and pepper beard though when you started this Herobear. So
No.
you're sort of just turning into this thing.
This white hair is taking me over. Yes, I'm slowly becoming my own character.
Next time he's just gonna have a cape on.
And a big wet nose.
Just awkward shorts and a cape.
So, for my panelists, are any of you working on an animal comic to come out soon? Or you think maybe you might do another one? And if so, could you talk a little bit about what you'd like to do?
I am not